Have you ever opened your wallet at the end of the month, looked inside, and found absolutely nothing? We have all been there. You get paid, you feel rich for about 24 hours. You maybe buy a nice dinner, and then suddenly, life happens. The rent comes out, the bills pile up, and before you know it, you're counting coins just to buy a coffee. It is a universal feeling. But did you know that in English there are some incredibly vivid and specific ways to describe exactly that financial roller coaster? Today, I'm going to tell you a story about two friends facing these exact struggles. And by the end of this video, you are going to master 6 essential expressions that native speakers use every single day to talk about their cash. Let's get right into the reality of the situation. Imagine a guy named Mark. Mark is having a really rough month. He sits down to look at his finances, and he realizes something terrifying. After paying his rent, covering his electricity bill, and handling his basic needs, his bank account is sitting at 0. He doesn't even have $5 left to buy dinner. In English, we have a perfect phrase for this specific situation. We say, Mark is flat broke. When you say you are flat broke, you don't just mean you are a little low on cash. You mean your wallet is empty, your bank account is empty, and you cannot buy anything. Not a coffee, not a bus ticket, nothing. It is a phrase you might use after a very expensive holiday, or right after Christmas when you have brought gifts for your entire family. You might look at your friend and say, I can't go to the cinema tonight. I'm flat broke. It is a way to stop saying, I have no money, and sound much more natural and descriptive. So, Mark is flat broke, and his friend is in the exact same boat. They both realize they have a problem, so they have to change their behavior. Mark decides he has to stop going to cafes. He stops buying snacks. When his friends invite him to a party, he has to say no because he simply cannot afford it. This action of restricting your spending is what we call tightening your belt. Just like you tighten a physical belt when you lose weight, you tighten your financial belt when you have less money. It means you are consciously spending less than usual. You are cutting out the luxuries. You are cooking at home instead of eating out. You are walking instead of taking a taxi. It isn't fun and it requires discipline. But when your salary is low or your rent is high, sometimes you have no choice but to tighten your belt just to survive until payday. But here is where things get tricky. Sometimes, before we tighten our belt, we make mistakes. Mark's friend admits that she is struggling now because of what she did last weekend. She went to the mall, saw a sale, and lost control. First, she bought shoes, then a dress, then a bag. In the moment, it felt exciting. But when she got home and opened her wallet, the excitement turned into regret. We describe this reckless spending by saying she spent money like water. Think about water running from a tap. It flows fast, easily, and it's hard to stop. When you spend money like water, you are buying things without thinking. You are handing over cash quickly and easily. Maybe you get your paycheck on Friday. You feel happy. You buy expensive clothes and tech gadgets. And by Sunday, it's all gone. You spend it like water. It usually leads to that flat broke feeling we talked about earlier. Now, even if you are careful, life has a way of surprising you. Back to Mark's story. He was trying to be good, but then his car broke down. He took it to the garage, and the mechanic handed him a bill for $500. Mark almost cried. When something is shockingly expensive, like that car repair, we say it costs an arm and a leg. This is one of the most famous money idioms you must know. We don't mean you literally gave your limbs to the mechanic. We just mean the price was painfully high. Cars often cost an arm and a leg. First the petrol, then the insurance, then the repairs. But it applies to anything. A new laptop for university might cost an arm and a leg. Buying a house in the city center definitely costs an arm and a leg. It is a great phrase to use when you want to complain about how expensive modern life has become. So, Mark and his friend are sitting there, realizing that after paying for rent,
food, and the bus, they have zero savings. If a surprise bill comes, they are in trouble. They can't plan for the future because they're just trying to get through today. This state of existence is called living from hand to mouth. Imagine you find food with your hand and put it immediately into your mouth. You aren't storing anything for later. Living from hand to mouth means you only have enough money for your immediate survival, food, rent, then basic bills. There is no money for holidays, no savings account, and definitely no luxury. It is a stressful way to live because you are constantly worried. Many students live from hand to mouth, and people starting their first jobs often live from hand to mouth until they get a raise.
However, despite all this stress, Mark and his friend do what we all do. They dream. They sit back and imagine a different life. They imagine winning the lottery. Mark dreams of buying a small house by the sea, drinking coffee on a balcony, and listening to the waves. His friend dreams of traveling the world, Japan, Italy, Brazil, and staying in 5-star hotels. If that dream came true, we would say they hit the jackpot. This comes from casino culture, where a machine gives you a massive pile of coins, but we use it in everyday life too. Sure, if you win millions in the lottery, you have hit the jackpot, but you can also hit the jackpot figuratively. If you find a flat that is cheap, big, and in a beautiful neighborhood, you hit the jackpot. If you get a job where the pay is high and the boss is friendly, you hit the jackpot. It implies sudden, wonderful luck and success. So, there you have it. We went from being flat broke and having to tighten our belts because we spent money like water. We complained about things costing an arm and a leg. We discussed the stress of living from hand to mouth. And finally, we dreamed about hitting the jackpot. Learning English is actually a lot like saving money. A little bit of effort every single day adds up to a massive result in the future. So keep practicing and eventually you will hit the jackpot with your fluency. If you found these explanations helpful and want to master more native expressions, please hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to English Glow. I've got so many more lessons coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.